So Bas Rutten, I think the guy's amazing. An icon in the sport, very real skills, like not somebody that I look at and go, oh, okay, they were kind of their skill was like that. I'm like, no, I like this dude's style. I like what he knows. I've sat down at all the karate combat events and talked to him, and usually everything he says, I'm like, I agree. But I just saw something on his YouTube channel where he was talking about how people are messing up their defense. And you guys know I love defense. I love talking about it. So any opportunity on the channel to do it again, oh yes, I'm absolutely there. So what was he saying? Well, he starts the episode off with a hand pad strapped to his head, literally strapped up. And then he says he asks people all the time, if I put this here and I let you punch me like a big hook, can you knock me out? If I ask you to throw a head kick, can you knock me out? And he said he always gets a chuckle from people and they're like, yeah, obviously we could knock you out. And he goes, yes, you're absolutely right. Therefore, why do you think you should take a glove, put it to your head, and block anything? He says, no, too dangerous. I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. Now, I see some elements of what he's saying, and we're going to go into that further. But I have to say that the way that he recommends blocking is good for maybe advanced people. But to say to a beginner that instead of blocking like this, you're going to reach and block. Oh boy, I do not like that. I don't like that at all. So let's break down this a little bit further, and you guys at the end will hopefully understand what are the negatives and the positives of blocking like this, and the negatives and positives of blocking like this. But before we get to that, I want to remind everybody that strike ready movement, where we focus on footwork, we focus on learning range, how to balance, right? How do we balance? All of that is coming this Monday. And if you have not got yourself registered, you should join the hundreds of others who already have, because we're going to have 25 plus videos, 5 weeks of content, and 3 live calls, which you can join or watch back after the fact. Man, I'm excited for that course. So the very first thing that I have to say I disagree with is I have been kicked in the head. I have been punched in the head. Hard. Now granted, very often when I'm getting kicked in the head very hard, I've been hit a couple times in fights, but usually it's in sparring. And usually there's a shin pad. And the shin pad is going to provide a lot of cushion compared to a raw shin. I do understand that. Taking a foot to the head is different than a boxing glove to the head. But still, I can take it. Right? I've been kicked in the head, I can take it. I've been punched in the head, I can take it. That doesn't mean I can take it every time. I do understand that as well. But if I can take somebody hitting me in the head with a glove with nothing there, I can absolutely stay on my feet with this there. This is going to provide so much. Provided, of course, I do the necessary things. I clench my teeth on impact. I brace my neck on impact. I do fundamental things like that, so it's not my head getting like, boom, just jostled. I'm not getting just dummied. So if somebody said to me, Gabriel, do you think I can knock you out with that pad here? Bas Rutten says, yes, you can knock me out. I say, I don't think so, man. I mean, obviously if you put Bas Rutten, who's a big, massive power kicker, and I put this here, then yeah. But the average person with this cushion, can they knock me out? No, it may rattle me. It's not gonna knock me out. And I know that I have blocked so many hooks with this hand right there, and they throw and they hit, and I think nothing about it. Nothing. I'm not like, oh man, that just almost rattled me, or oh, that one was really brain damaging. No, because the fundamentals of, and then when I have this cushion here and somebody hits, there's not a lot of movement in my neck, in my head. Now, he goes on to say, as I already mentioned, that you don't want to do this when you block a shot, you want to reach. And if you are good at defense, you are really stellar at defense, and you're able to pick off shots, that is the better option. I'm not going to argue with that. It's the better option. Because when somebody is about to land on the target and they connect. This is their 100% power point. If you can stick your hand out and block it here, it's probably only like 60 or 70% power. It's crazy how much extra power you get at the end of the rotation. So you're only blocking a shot that's, you know, 60, 70% powerful. That's great. So why don't we do that all the time, you might be saying? Why are we constantly not just doing this and never going here? You create openings when you reach. If I reach, somebody throws a hook and I reach, now the straight shot's there. Boom, now I have to block that. But now if they come 1, 2, 3, now I have to go reach, reach, reach. And then they start coming around with the hook and I'm reaching, eventually I'm gonna get caught. So, well, yes, if you integrate footwork into your blocking, block, and you back up, that's great. That's a good way to avoid getting hit. But if your feet go stationary, if you run out of room behind you, if you get tired and cannot take those steps, once you start reaching for shots, whoa, there's gonna be an opening and somebody's gonna find it. And that's when you're better off settling into that Dutch guard. And even though Bas might not like it, and granted he was doing things in MMA gloves, so a boxing glove is very, very different than an MMA glove, and that's always up to you to determine what is my fight sport, what is my preferred defense style. But a boxing glove here, oh, and even an MMA glove like this is gonna protect you a lot. And that's why you get fighters who will do that sometimes. It's not the go-to with MMA gloves, but they will do it. Now, he also goes on to talk about roundhouse kicks, saying that if somebody throws a kick on you and your elbow is against your body, that is gonna dig in there. And that can get you really hurt. So he says, you disengage that arm and you come around and block, as opposed to there. And well, yes, an elbow can sink into your body. It's possible. It shouldn't happen. Because again, the same way that you clench your neck, you clench your stomach. If something hits here and then hits, sorry, cough, cough, hits my body, and I can't take that, I need to do more ab conditioning. Absolutely I do. And reaching with both arms out creates the opening for a kick to come over top. Whereas when I stay tight, this backhand protects me. That's why I always teach this hand stays locked, this one reaches, as opposed to both hands coming out. Now, strategy-wise, Bas was saying that his main strategy is throw every shot as hard as he can. And he's a big dude. And I believe very much that if he hits me with no shin pads on, like this, yes, that is absolutely gonna crush me. But if I do it right, and I reach across, it's gonna be something that I can take. And then I can hit them back and not have any mistakes. Now, I'm not saying Bas is wrong in the way that he is choosing to instruct. It's all about perspectives. And his perspective as a heavyweight fighter is different than mine as a lightweight fighter. But I do not like when people give absolutes in fight sports, like never do this, never do that. You caution them what the problems are with doing them a certain way, and then let them choose based on their skill level, based on their size, because blocking like this versus this is very dependent on size. A smaller person is going to be very unlikely to hurt you through there. So I'm just giving you guys the scope of information. This is Bas's recommendation. This is my recommendation. You can do either one. There's nothing wrong with either. Just need to understand which one suits you best. And myself as a lightweight fighter or a featherweight fighter, I've always found that sinking in the pocket, whether I have on MMA gloves, those karate combat gloves, or whether I have on boxing gloves, I'm fine here. Completely fine. And I have sparred with heavyweight fighters who have been trying to kill me, trying to take my head off. I've had people try to whip hooks so hard that when I lean back, they actually do a full spin and fall down. And I can still protect myself fine. So again, This is not to criticize Bas. I don't want anybody thinking, oh, Gabriel's out to get Bas Rutten. No, I have so much respect for that dude. I've done work with him at Karate Combat, filmed videos with him. He knows what he is talking about. But the perspective of him versus me is basically size, glove, MMA glove versus boxing glove, and all that makes such a massive difference. But I never want anybody to see a video, hear somebody say you can only block shots like this, and then all of a sudden make an error, overcommit, leave themselves exposed, and then the follow-up ends up knocking them down. And they're like, man, my defense is terrible. I'm no good. I'm like, no, you choose a very hard defensive style to utilize. This is much easier. And you add in a couple of these, you do some footwork. That's a good way to start. Just wanted to share that thought with you guys and make sure everybody is staying safe out there on their defense. I'll see you back here soon.